Hello, bridge builders! I'm here with some exciting news. The first volume of interviews is now available on Amazon.com. The link can be found at eatlunchandboardgame.com. I promise that all proceeds from sales of this book will go right back into this podcast and channel. Whether that is new and better audio equipment for the podcast or video equipment for the YouTube channel, or even more games to review, the money will not be wasted. Click over to Amazon and get your copy of Eat Lunch and Board Game, the first course today. And thank you for supporting the show. Welcome back to Eat Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins, and with me today is game enthusiast and print shop owner, Brian Welch. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, no, great. I'm glad you could come on. As we were talking before I hit record here, I'm very active on Facebook, not necessarily as active as I should be promoting my brand or anything, but I am active enough on Facebook with board games that I get all kinds of targeted Facebook ads. And one came up for a shop called meepleshirts.com. And I had to take a look, and that's how I found you. So whoever's doing your marketing and your Facebook ads, they're working.
Good. Good to know.
So yeah, I'm wearing it. Not that anybody can see it while we're on the podcast here, but I'm wearing my coffee and board games t-shirt because those are two very important things to me. Board games and coffee.
I don't know how people start the day without coffee. I don't know how that works.
I don't want to try to figure it out. So, for people who don't know you, which might be a lot of people, who are you and what do you do for the gaming community?
All right, so I've pretty much been a business owner my whole life. Prior to what I do now, I used to own superherostuff.com. So a lot of people may have heard that. It's a much bigger entity than what I currently run. We used to go to all the big Comic-Cons. We used to have a huge booth, sold a ton of superhero t-shirts. It's really almost everything I've done in my career has been catering to one or more of my many hobbies. In addition to board games, surprise, I also read comic books and like superheroes and all the fun, awesome, geeky stuff that goes with it. So we ran that for a long time. Sold it in 2018, and I really, that was really a glorified retail store. It was, in other words, we didn't produce our own products. We were buying from suppliers and reselling them to other people. But it was a lot of fun. It was a big life change to move on. But I really became fascinated with the whole process of printing and making the product. So I took about a week off after I sold that business, and then I started a print shop.
Whole week?
Yeah, a whole week. It was a glorious week of vacation, and half of that week was planning the print shop. So it was just more of I spent a week on the couch planning the next thing.
Well done.
Yeah. So the print shop, when you start out, you have no business. That you're
Sure.
just a guy with a whole bunch of expensive equipment that you're learning how to use. So I thought, well, I have all these other hobbies. Why don't I know e-commerce really well? Let's combine everything and do some other stores. Meeple Shirts isn't my only one. I have a store for homebrewers and beer stuff and all kinds of little niche stores. It's not our primary business anymore. Our primary business is really working with other businesses and printing their stuff. But we still do quite a bit through it. And they're certainly probably the most fun aspect of the business because I get to cater to my hobbies. It's kind of a brutal in some ways because we do this monthly board game giveaway, and it's so painful. Like every month, you hope like that nobody's going to claim the game, or like please don't pick that one game. And of course, that's the game they pick, and somebody always ends up claiming it, and you just have this big pile of board games that you can't play and have to keep in good condition.
I mean, there are worse problems.
There are, yeah.
So, how did you get into board gaming?
I started off as a more of a D&D kid. So in I don't know, I was pretty young, and my cousins introduced. I was reading comics, and then my cousins introduced me to the Red Box, the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I just fell in love with it. It was just super super fun. So I spent most of middle school and high school in D&D groups playing. Mostly, back then it was the late '80s, early '90s, so it was second edition. Is what I played a ton of, and it wasn't really until the very end of like my high school career that we got into Axis and Allies and Magic. But that's really as deep as I went into board games back then. It was just kind of, you know, there was always games at the comic shop, but I played Axis and Allies, Magic when it first came out. I still play it now, but I was able to jump in when that game first came out, and yeah, but it was D&D was a love forever. But then my whole group that I played with kind of went to college, moved away. Everybody got on with their lives, and I started a family. And I didn't think I could ever rope my wife into D&D, but I thought I could probably find some cool games that I would enjoy playing that she would also play. And so I just started buying games, and I just took the deep dive into board gaming. I discovered Board Game Geek. I started listening to Dice Tower and all kinds of other podcasts, and just obsessing over board games. And every other week there's a Kickstarter showing up, and she's like, I thought this was just going to be a casual, family thing we were going to do. It's like, sure, it's casual. They're casually dropping the package off on the front porch, and I'll casually put it in the pile of I haven't played these yet.
Yeah, I had an email yesterday telling me that a UPS tracking number has been issued for me, and I'm like, for what? Guess I'll find out tomorrow. I'm sure it's one of the Kickstarters that I forgot about. It'll be showing up tomorrow, and I'll be like, oh, right, this game.
Yeah. Yep, it's great. And my wife's, it's not as she likes, simpler games. Azul's her favorite, but I love playing those as well. They're super easy.
Yeah,
My kids
Azul's a
both
great
like board
game.
games. And then now we go on camping trip. Most of our vacations are taking the camper somewhere and just playing board games all weekend. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we went on vacation and we picked games that are specifically smaller, lighter games that we take with us. We took Millborn, good old car racing card game, and then the from Paquetto, the Mint games, like the Mint 10 games.
Uh-huh.
And so we took, oh my gosh, all of them last time. And my son and I played two of them while we were out at night in the cabin. While the wife was getting the little one to bed, my son and I are, at the dining room table playing, Mint Cooperative, and Mint
Right.
Control. So, yeah, I get it. It's all about, finding the right game for the right time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What games do you take when you go camping?
We always take Azul. We always take Carcassonne. That's been a family favorite for a while. Ticket to Ride. And then the rest are kind of rotated in and out. Like we just went this last trip, and we took Wingspan and Terraforming Mars and Star Wars Outer Rim.
Those are some pretty heavy ones.
Yeah. Yeah, she sits out for those. So we'll play a round of Azul, and then she'll go off to the side, and then me and the boys will break out something else.
Yeah, we Ticket to Ride. What we've been playing a lot of lately is those city ones that they just put out, like the New York, London, and Amsterdam. And so because they're a smaller footprint, they play faster, but they still have the Ticket to Ride feel to them.
Sure, yeah.
Those are great little quick hits. So yeah, I couldn't imagine taking Terraforming Mars out camping. Aren't you afraid you're going to lose something?
Yeah, but I don't know. It is kind of ridiculous. I mean, Outer Rim's even more table space. So you're out in the middle of this campground, like with the entire picnic table filled with pieces, and in spaces and terrified of the tiniest wind blowing blowing all your
A
stuff
gust
away.
of wind and phew.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey, honey, got to buy another copy again.
yeah, yeah. It is a risk, but we dive straight in.
Nothing wrong with that, but yeah, I couldn't imagine taking something like Terraforming Mars or Wingspan and playing it outside. But that's just me. That's just me. So, what is your current favorite game? If I traveled over to your house in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, what game are you currently obsessed with?
It's so tough because again, it depends on the group I'm playing with. But I did just play Emotep for the first time, and I loved that game. So I can't wait to play it again. We started a board game group, and it meets at my print shop actually. Um, so somebody just introduced that to game, but most often is Wingspan and Terraforming Mars. We play that. You know, it's probably the games that get to the table most often right now. Um, Terraforming Mars, I played a ton when it came out, and then I took a long break, and then I got obsessed with it again. So it's
Did you buy that big box with all the 3D
I didn't.
tokens and
No, I just have
um,
the original generic. But someday, if I find it,
life goals right there?
yeah, yeah,
So let's get this out of the way real quick. How do you pronounce the Settlers of?
Catan.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and push on past that one then. Uh,
Interview over. Nice to
Get
meet
interviews
you.
over. All right. Thanks for coming on today. Click. Okay. So when I started this podcast, it was because I played a lot of board games with my coworkers, and what I found to be awesome about that was the communication. It helped my company, which was very segmented, and kind of punched holes in those walls, broke down the silos, whatever big business terminology you want to use. But it really did a lot for our company and bringing people from other divisions together. So having the print shop, though, do you play games at lunch? You got all the table space out there. You could set up a heck of a game.
Yeah, we do occasionally, but not as much as you think. We do have like every Wednesday I buy lunch for everybody. We have we call it our lunch and learn session, and usually there's we'll have lunch, we'll throw something geeky on the TV. Our print shop's a little different in that it's set up with it's the area where customers might meet us is rather small. So I own two companies. I own the print shop and I own a web design company. They're all at the same building, and everybody that works for me works for both companies for the most part. But it's a small area where customers can meet us. So we had no room for a conference room. So when you walk in, it's just a full custom bar that we had a friend build. We have a big tap system. So if you want to come talk to us about a print job or a web design project, you belly up to the bar, and one of us acts as your bartender. We pour you a beer, we have a beer, and we sit there and we talk about what you're looking for, and hopefully after two or three beers, we can encourage you to spend more than you were originally planning to spend. Yeah, but,
No, but it sounds like a great idea for a print shop. I mean, I'd show up, and be like, I don't need anything, but let's talk and
yeah,
let's have a beer,
yeah,
and I'll buy that I'm always red T-shirt over there, and I'll take a beer.
yeah.
What
That's
color? What color do you go towards?
green, green.
Green. What is it? I'm telling you, everybody's saying green right now, and it's kind of funny. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, can't have all my friends together at the same time. There's only one green, so
It's funny. I never
um,
really cared until my wife vehemently cared about being red. So like I never cared, and all of a sudden it was like she'd flip out if anybody would dare to take red, and I was like, fine, I'm green then. and now I care, but I don't know why I care. I just
yeah,
I put my flag in the sand and I staked my color, and
there
now
you go.
now it's a problem when a game comes up and there's no green. Like I have no color. I have no idea what to play.
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. One of my other buddies is a game designer. He said his favorite color is black. And why it's funny is his game has 6 colors and none of them are black. And I'm like, you designed your own game, and your own color is not in it. And he's like, that's a good point. No, it is not. And I'm
I
like,
never noticed. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, okay, I made sure red was in my game. Green is in the expansion or the extension pack. So my game plays 4 out of the box. Green and white are the 2 colors if you go to 6 player.
Oh, what game did
So
you create?
so a coworker, like I said, we started playing every day at lunch. So then we started using our coworkers as play testers, and so we did a game called Fences. Colors are yellow, blue, purple, and red, and then white and green are the 2 colors if you go to the 6 player. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, made one of my friends mad because green's his color and green's not my game, so he had to buy the extension just to. I'm like, it's just to charge you $15 more, you know.
That's right.
So whatever it takes, right? So if you were gonna play a game that took a lunch hour, a 60-minute game, what is your go-to 60-minute game?
Carcassonne probably. I think
Classic.
yeah, you can get that done in less time. But I've been playing that game for so long, and I think people. It's funny, 'cause, like I said, during the pandemic, we started a board game group in our area, and it was all virtual. And then as soon as kind of we could meet, I offered up my place as the meeting spot. And we have like 6 to 8 like seasoned gamers that come, and none of them played Carcassonne. So I put it out on the table, and they were all like, "Well, I've seen it all the time, but it just looks so dated." They're all probably 15 years younger than me, and they're like, I know it's a classic, but it looks so dated, so I never picked it up. I'm like, look, you got to, and then they play it like, oh, this is much better than I thought. This
No,
really is a good game.
and I Carcassonne is one of my top 5, no question. I have all the expansions and stuff that I can find stateside. I did find a German website that I could buy all the crazy stuff that's not available in the United States, and I haven't done it all yet because it's like $200 worth of junk that
Right.
I don't have. I don't know how to hide a $200 purchase from my wife, you know. So if I ever find a way, there's a great website where you can buy. I don't know if you get into the expansions or anything like that, but I'm telling you, a lot of them are a lot of fun. My favorite's the Castle. Do you
That's
play
what I
any
heard.
expansions?
I do have a few. I don't have Castle, but I heard that's the one to have. That it's the best.
I like Castle and I like Hills and Sheep.
Yeah.
There's something about Hills and Sheep. I love Hills and Sheep. I love Castle. I was kind of mad when they changed the artwork this last time, but I get it. You know,
Right.
they wanted to make it their own. So, in case you've never read it, there's a book called The Book of Carcassonne by Steve D. and Dan Shard.
Oh yeah, never heard of it. I mean, I
It
never.
is
I didn't know there was a book.
it is a riot. I bought it because the pandemic, and I was just devouring books about board gaming. And this book is hilarious. Also gives a lot of good strategies and tips and stuff that you probably already know. But like, just the commentary of the 2 guys talking, in the book, and it's a riot. It's a totally worth. I want to say it was like $10 on Amazon, maybe 12. I don't know. Wasn't much. Um, Showed up. I read it to my son as a bedtime story. That's how I bill a lot of this stuff to my wife. Is no, this is for the son and I to read at bedtime. But yeah, so that was one that we read. It was really funny. He's got a couple other books that are pretty good too. Tales of Carcassonne, I think is what it's called. So yeah, those are pretty good. So if you like Carcassonne, which it sounds like you do, I highly recommend that book because I love Carcassonne. Like I said, top 5 of my games.
Yeah, me too. I love it. It's awesome.
I mean, I'll throw Catan up there. I don't care. A lot of people, like you're saying, the game's old. Yeah, it's 25 years old and still selling millions of copies a year because it's a freaking great game.
Yeah. What ruined that game for me, I used to love it, but it was probably the first like hobby board game I introduced to my kids, and the trading aspect. It would be like nobody's paying attention to what anybody's picking up, and the game would last for 4 hours because it was constantly like wolf for wood, anybody sheep. Anybody?
You're like, there's no wood in the game, man.
Like, nobody has it. Move on. And next time they come around, they'd ask the same thing over again. I'm like, oh, so it was one of those like this game should not take this long. It's a pretty
At that
cut and
point,
dry.
you at that point you're like looking for oil springs, so it'll like you can get the oil going, produce that way you can get what you need faster. Or the Fisherman of Catan's another great one to throw around the edge.
Yeah,
But yeah, Catan, I don't get tired of it. I'm kind of mad that they keep changing the artwork though, because now I had the artwork from fourth edition or whatever. Now they're on fifth edition, so all the new expansions now don't match my artwork, and I'm like,
yeah. I still have it when it was called Settlers.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
and
mine says. Settlers, yeah.
all the new sets are so different from what I have. We still
Oh
play
yeah,
it every now and then, but it was for a while. It got pretty tired because the kids loved it, and the games just lasted. They just drug out.
yeah. I honestly can't tell you the last time I played it. One of my best friends was like, I'm playing Catan this weekend, and I'm like, I might have to, if you didn't live in Chicago, I'd drive up. But I can't tell you the last time I played Catan.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bust it out. Try to teach my son. His first game so he was 3 when he started playing was King of Tokyo, and never gone back.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Oh man, that is like my go-to to tell people, hey, you want to get your kids into the hobby, this is the game.
Yeah.
Don't buy any of these. Don't buy any of these junior games or my first blah blah blah. Just get King of Tokyo and have a kaiju monster fight.
Yep. Yep. They get to roll a whole bunch of dice. It's
Whole bunch.
interactive. Yeah.
Funny story. My son's hands weren't big enough to hold all the dice to where you could like shake them.
Right.
So I went on Etsy of all places and found a PDF of a dice tower. I paid a dude like $3. Emailed me the PDF. I bought foam core from the dollar store and built him a dice tower so he could just drop him down the dice tower, so we could play more King of Tokyo.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
So, what would be your go-to 30-minute game?
Maybe Sushi Go. We play that a lot.
Ooh.
That's pretty quick. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm shocked you are the first person to say Sushi Go on my podcast. That is a solid game.
Yeah, I really like it.
That is solid. I can't tell you the last time I played Sushi Go either. Now I'm gonna go downstairs and play Sushi Go. No, that's a good one. I like the drafting and the mechanic. Fun. Like you said, it's fast. It takes a few rounds to kind of get the hang of it.
Yep.
Because you got to pay attention to what you're passing.
Oh yeah.
And what you're getting.
You have to have a strategy. You can't just be pick what looks cool. You got to be paying attention.
I mean, you don't have to be, but you definitely won't win.
Right. Yeah. My kids just love that the moment of when they get to yell "Sushi Go" really loud, and and yeah, and it's gotten so exaggerated where you're getting screamed at when they're doing it, but it's great. They love it.
We'll never teach them Secret Hitler. Then they'll just be screaming, "You're Hitler!" And you're like, you should probably not be yelling that in the middle of the print shop.
Let's not play that at the campground. Yeah.
I don't know what that family over there is doing, but
let's not go near them. Little Jimmy, stay away from that guy.
Yeah, I don't think you should go over there, kids. So, do you have a guilty pleasure game, a game that you love that you don't think it gets enough glory?
I don't think so. I don't. Most of the games I play are well regarded. I don't know that I have that I play a lot or that I love that are not common or not at least well regarded.
No, that's my wife's probably happy you said that because that's one less game I'm going to go buy. So
yeah.
So we already kind of talked that you're a Kickstarter backer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a Kickstarter creator?
No, I've never done a Kickstarter. I've never created the Meeple shirts. The site that that we own. We didn't wasn't started by us, but the guy that started it, Justin, he used Kickstarter to start the site. So he put out his first 6 designs and did a Kickstarter and got enough orders, and he was having to go and pay somebody to print them, whereas our advantage is we print them ourselves. So it's not a huge cost for us to put out new designs. So the site was started by Kickstarter, but I've never started a Kickstarter. I give them my money. They've never sent me my money back. It's a one-way street.
It's a good way to put it. I did run it. I've run a couple campaigns, but I think I made more money from Kickstarter than I've spent. But that line's getting real close to
Right.
crossing. But no, I got a couple coming up. Be probably either the end of this year or start of next year with some more games. So meepleshirts.com. I fell in love with the coffee in board games and the beer in board games. Those are my two favorite. The other ones that drew my eye, but what really drew my eye in was the I'm always red, the I'm always green.
Right. Yeah.
Because I started asking that question. I mean, not at the beginning of my podcast. It's one of the newer questions. And as you said about your wife, like some people are very possessive of their
Oh, yeah.
color. And I think it's hilarious that you have shirts that are, cater to those crazy people. But I also find I play red and orange. Those are my colors.
Yeah.
So when I play Catan, I'm stressing out. Do I play the red or the orange today? But yeah, you don't realize how many people it's like they gotta have their color. And so I think that shirt really is what drew me in was the ad on
Yeah.
Facebook for the I'm always orange or whatever it was, and I'm like, I'm gonna go check out this website.
It's funny because it wasn't really our intent. We didn't really predict this when we put them out. We just thought that would be a good concept for a shirt, and we designed them and put them out. But they're such good revenue drivers because typically it's one person in the family buying them, and they'll buy 5 or 6, so that their whole family has their color shirt. It's not just like one gamer buying it; it's a Christmas present or whatever. But it's usually getting the whole set or getting 4 or 5 of them and distributing them around the family.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, because for my son, he likes like a dark purple when it's available. That's why Fences has purple and not green. My son did a lot of the play testing for us and with us. So we put the purple in the game because we're like, it's our game. We can put our colors in there we want. And he did a lot of work with us. So we put purple in the game for him. Yeah, like I said, he loves purple. That's his color. Like I said, I got dragged over to your site, and I'm like, well, this is going to cost me some money. So I had to figure out. I tried to just limit myself the first time to buy just one, and I did. But you guys have T-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts. You have some Halloween ones going on right now, right?
Yeah. We take them off after Halloween, but we put them up every October. And they always sell really well. We have a lot of mugs and other items. We're trying to expand in that area, but the Halloween stuff does well. It's all just simple meeples with different designs. We're definitely trying. Our big initiative right now is to try to add things. Meeples are kind of the core of the brand, but to try to add some non-meeple designs. That's the biggest feedback we get is like, hey, I love board games. I'm a big gamer, but meeples don't necessarily do it for me. Can you just come up with something else? So we branch out there by kind of just going into the role-playing genre and doing some D&D style shirts. But Meeples is the brand, so that'll always be the majority of what we carry.
I gotta be honest though, the zombie meeple is pretty awesome. The ribs and the torn up arm and stuff.
Cool.
Well, I got that. I think I got an email from you because I joined your mailing list and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, I highly recommend going to meepleshirts.com and grabbing your favorite color shirt. Check out the Halloween ones. Got a vampire, a devil, some orange monster. I like the witch one too. That's a really creative one. I like the pumpkin with the cutout of the meeple.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Who does your designs?
We have 3 in-house designers. They all are employees of the company. They're either working for I have one that's very talented illustrator and graphic designer, and then 2 that are primarily graphic designers. The guy that makes a lot of the meeple shirt stuff is named Zach Donnelly. He definitely did every one of the Halloween stuff because he is very big into just anything Halloween and creepy. He's all over it. that's his passion. But everybody that works for me, except for one person, used to work for me at Superhero Stuff. So they're pretty much just following me from one place to another, and they all like this stuff. They're all board gamers. They're all comic book readers. They're all into the same thing. So it's really cool. It's a really fun, fun place to sit around and work because everybody is.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you have a Thanksgiving line ready to hit the shelves or the website in November?
We might. Yeah, we have a few things for Thanksgiving and then a whole bunch for Christmas.
Oh, I bet. Some elves, some reindeer,
Yep.
Santa, Christmas tree maple.
Yeah, we have an ugly Christmas tree sweater T-shirt of all kinds of maple and board game pieces and all kinds of stuff we're gonna put out there.
Well, I will definitely be keeping my eye out on your website and on the email for that. Again, meepleshirts.com. You have drinkware, some limited home decor stuff as well,
And
right?
we have socks. We have meeple socks that we actually sell a lot of those. There's a lot of people that just buy our goofy socks with meeples all over it.
Well, I didn't see those, so I love crazy socks. So I feel like my next order is going to have to include a pair of meeple socks. I think the only the nerdiest I do have Geekway to the West, which was the board game convention here in St. Louis. It was just last week. I have their little Geekway logo on some socks. I may have to add some board game socks from you guys. Oh my gosh! But yeah, I mean, I love to reach out, find people that do that outside part of the industry, right? Like I had. You with your t-shirt shop. I had somebody with their Etsy shop with cross-stitch designs. So,
oh, cool.
You never know when you're going to run into another fellow nerd. And we got to talk to this guy about meeple shirts.
I've been very lucky to be able to not only to start businesses that also embrace hobbies. And it's not just because I get to work within that hobby, but it's such a great excuse to keep it. And that, my wife always says I collect hobbies more than I because every time she turns around, I have a new hobby. But then I can I'll start a business to support it.
Yeah,
and then she can't say anything.
Sure. I mean, I love board games too. I've got a board game podcast, obviously, and then I've got the board game company that my business partner and we've got fences out there. We're getting ready to launch one where that we decided. A friend of mine, he had a game. We licensed it, so we're going to push out his game at the end, like I said, end of this year, beginning of next year, called Shark Hunt. So that'll be an exciting time. So we're going to be at that game. Then we got a couple 18-card games of our own that we're excited, and then got another big, full-on base game that we're hoping to put out middle of 2022. So
that's awesome. That's really exciting.
It's something. I'll tell you. You said you haven't run a Kickstarter. My biggest advice there is don't.
I'm sure it's nerve-wracking.
Oh, man, it is. Whew, it's a lot of work. There's just things that, you make a lot of mistakes on your first one, and you think, I'll fix that on the second one, and then you make different mistakes. You're like, well, I didn't make these mistakes last time. Well, it's because you made these other ones first. So, that's about... That seems to be how it goes. You just keep making new mistakes, which don't repeat the old ones. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for being on my show today. Sure. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Brian at meepleshirts.com is probably the easiest way.
Yep. Just go to meepleshirts.com.
Yep.
Hit contact us. That's what I did.
Yeah, it's going to go right to me.
It's so easy. And then if you want to reach out to me, it is eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com or facebook.com/eatlunchandboardgame. And remember, board games build bridges.
Stay in tune with all things sports around Indiana and the nation with the Crash Course Podcast. Each week, we tackle the big storylines from the world of the Colts, Pacers, and the Indiana college scene, while also keeping a pulse on the nation. We record live weekly at twitch.tv/3cmedia and can be found on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be heard, you can catch the Crash Course Podcast.
When you're gaming, why not be comfy? Go over to supportplayer.org. Click on the cards, pieces, and dice to get some merch. These t-shirts are some of the most comfortable I have ever worn. That's supportplayer.org, and there's a link on eatlunchandboardgame.com.